I'm fed up. I have the right qualifications, the right experience, but it's been 2 years since I've got my PhD and I still can't get a job. We have been promised at school that high qualifications will guarantee us a safe and well-paid job. But it just doesn't seem to work. And at the same time, people with much less qualifications and much less credentials are given their dream jobs and even more. You know who the culprit is? That's social capital. Hello and welcome. I'm William and this is Q, a series for understanding social challenges. And today we will analyze the concept of social capital and why it's just so difficult to find jobs for people from the diasporas. Did you ever wonder why people at key positions in academia, mainstream media or the tech industry are mainly white middle-class men? Although I've got a PhD, I forgot a little something.
They have recruited the rich and the powerful.
Studies show that on average, 50% of jobs are given to people who either know someone working in the company or have been previously working in the same structure.
Social capital can be understood as a network of relationships amongst people, and it was defined by various sociologists as resources both tangible and non-tangible, which are so important in finding a good job, are reciprocity, trust and cooperation. We can have very good, super good CVs. We can have fantastic publications, and yet we will not know the ways how to approach certain institutions. We would not be a trusted partner.
In a nutshell, to get hired, it's better for you to have the right friends. In sum, as a migrant, I just didn't have the family or the opportunities to build a decent network in the UK.
But in the modern time, one of the works which particularly well developed the concept of social capital were the work of Pierre Bourdieu and his work on the educational system, where he showed that there are important elements of a social capital understood as he understood it, above all as a cultural, symbolic and economic capital, which determined the success of children in schools. And obviously this success, the success rates, he proved is not only an effect of how good teachers or how good schools we go to, but above all it has to do with our upbringing, our friends, our parents, and the choices which not necessarily we make, but the choices which they make, and the general habitus in which we are being brought up.
The second factor is that we are living in the era of neoliberalism. Neoliberalism is an economic system that promotes individualism and competition. Because universities are racing for numbers, they have produced much more qualified people than there are jobs in the market. As a consequence, employers facing this huge supply are becoming more selective and the job market becomes saturated. To be competitive and to survive in the market, you need to prove your quality by numbers, which means to produce, produce and produce. This is modern-day Stakhanovism. In the 20th century, USSR propaganda used the miner Alexei Stakhanov, attributing him fabricated, unachievable mining record outputs to encourage workers to produce more and more. If he can do it, you can do it, and actually, you should be doing it too. Neoliberalism vehiculates the myth that we are supposed to achieve everything on our own. This is the narrative of the self-made man. However, social capital shows us that this is nothing but a myth. If we look at figures like Richard Branson, Mark Zuckerberg or else, they didn't do things on their own. They either had the initial financial capital, or to get recognition and disseminate their ideas, they were surrounded by the right people and had the right networks. Contrary to our parents' generation, we are less likely to secure a permanent housing, a permanent job, or even a permanent marriage. This is what late philosopher Zygmunt Bauman calls liquid modernity.
The way how Bauman defined liquid modernity is by referring to increasing feeling of uncertainty, where people can shift social positions in a fluid manner. He compared a contemporary man to a tourist or a nomad, where everything is provisional rather than permanent.
Pre-modern societies, there was no idea of waste. Collateral victims of this aspect of modernity are precisely disposable people.
Liquid modernity is also characterized by an increasing reliance on technology for solving human problems.
What Mark Zuckerberg made his billions of dollars on is precisely our fear of being left alone.
Coupled with neoliberal culture, it leads to a paradox. While technology was supposed to ease work and give us more time for leisure or social activities, we end up having less time at home and more time at work, as companies are focused on the volume and speed of their output for staying competitive. Surviving in the job market becomes more like staying afloat in the middle of mountain rapids. Much more like Charlie Chaplin's Modern Times, there are more chances for average people to get caught and carried away by the gears of an increasingly large machine, unless they secure a strong social capital or stand out of the competition. Moreover, racism and discrimination towards people on the basis of class, gender, disability, beauty standards, and much more only add barriers to the acquisition of social capital. If you want to find a job in the tech industry and you happen to be a woman, of color, wearing the hijab, it's like climbing the Everest in winter and without oxygen. No matter how hard you work, the system was just not designed for every one of us.
Congratulations.
What about the interview?
That was it.
However, gaining social capital in the dominant culture is possible under certain conditions. You need to change your appearance, your name, and your cultural preferences. For example, the society tells us that if you want to be a lawyer, you better stop listening to hip-hop and start listening to classical music. Moreover, the modern and Western-centric ideas of work and professionalism ignore the fact that people have other kinds of capitals.
Students of colour aren't seen as having a valid form of social capital which society values. TJ Yosso gives us a 6-part cultural wealth model. This can be used in education to understand students and to engage with students. So social capital is the first part. The second part of the model is aspirational capital. Students of colour have aspirations, hopes and dreams for education. It's just that they have low expectations of what society can actually do for them. The next part is linguistic capital. Students of colour have great linguistic skills in translating, in speaking different languages, in rhythm, in rhyme and storytelling. The next part is familial capital. Students of colour have experience with families, with communal settings, with building bonds. This is something they bring into education. The next part of the model is navigational capital. Students of colour have the ability to navigate different educational settings, different social settings, and behave accordingly. The final part of the 6-part cultural wealth model is resistance capital. This comes from the idea that students of colour have come from a tradition of organising, of protecting themselves, of resisting and thinking about freedom. They are able to speak truth to power, stand up for themselves and resist.
You have a problem with authority, Mr. Anderson. You believe that you are special, that somehow the rules do not apply to you. Obviously, you are mistaken.
Shall we keep trying endlessly? Shall we just conform and become colonized by this idea of white professionalism? Well, I don't have a miracle solution, but in my research, I found that cultivating the bonds we have within our own communities, where our diasporic identities are respected and valued, can help a lot and build wonderful things. So, thanks for watching, take courage, and see you next time.